Good morning, scholars. Welcome back to Zombie Survival Week with Ben Iguana. Iggy is being a little less than forthcoming with the recording. Also, my cat Boots is over here. And the last time Iggy was out, he started chasing Boots around, and I just felt really bad, so yeah. Boots is sleeping. Shh. Okay, so last time I advised you not to leave your home, whether you were to go to a grocery store or really anywhere, for 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks, so that you don't run the risk of being shot at, stabbed, eaten, trampled. All the typical stuff that would happen, presumably in the wee hours of a zombie apocalypse. This episode is going to be discussing types of mobility and the pros and cons of the different ways that you might want to move around the landscape, getting from A to B, preferably B being much more defensible and stocked. Now, most people, especially nowadays, would naturally just get as much stuff as they can carry, or stuff in a backpack, whatever, put it in the car and just drive off. This is not a good idea. The first thing you need to do is, obviously, gather as many supplies as you think you might need, but you need to discuss, quietly, the best place to go, or just the route to take to get away from the city or the suburbs, wherever you happen to live. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're going to run into problems every step of the way. But if you have an idea of where to go, like say you decide, okay, I'm going to go to the least populated area of my state. So you would Google that, most likely, and then you would plot out a way to get there. But you should also have at least 3 different routes to take that will get you to the same place. So that if one is unavailable because of traffic or a bridge that has been blown up or what have you, you still have a way to get there. Another thing is a lot of people, especially in movies, I don't know what it is, but a lot of people forget that a bicycle is a thing that exists. And a great thing about a bike is that it would be excellent not only for mobility, because you're able to pick it up and then carry it with you, but also it gives you the cardio that you need so that if you have to run, you're going to be able to actually run. Whereas with a car, once it runs out of gas, you can't pick it up and take it with you. And if there isn't any way for you to siphon gas off, what are you going to do? Let's see. Now, let's say that you find a place on the road or in the woods, someplace you think you can make a safe house with. The first thing you need to do is make sure that you have a way out in case you get overrun. This is mainly seen, well, not really mainly, but like it was brought to the forefront of a movie in Zombieland, oddly enough, with Columbus's rule, when in doubt, know your way out. Yes, you always want to have an exit strategy, but preferably you want to have about 3 of them, so that if 2 get, overrun, then you've still got the one left to get away. Another thing is power is going to be an issue, so you're going to want, when you're in a defensible location, not when you're on the run, is a power generator. Preferably one that's manual powered so that you can hook it up in such a way so that you can use the bicycles to generate power. Another thing, if you can, like say you're in a home and it has a basement, keep the power generator there, and then you can have that stuff going, and then you can soundproof it with like mattresses or anything, but always have at least 2 people on watch in the ground floor so that if something starts coming your way, they can quickly run down, grab everybody from the basement, bring them up, and then they can run. Also, try and have somebody on the roof at all times to be, the bird's eye view for you, because what's the point of having a lookout if they can only see what's like right at the window or at the front door? Also, Batman today, I forgot to mention, but you can already tell. Let's see. Another thing is a lot of people will stock up on canned foods and eat up all their stores rather quickly. Now, canned foods are a good thing to have, mostly because they have water in them, and you're going to be obviously running out of water rather quickly. So one thing to help placate that is to get those rain catchers. It's pretty much just a barrel, and then you've got a filter on top of it, and it clamps down, and it just collects the water, and then you can filter through it and then drink it or bathe. Whatever you need to do with the water. But you want to save the canned foods for later. You want to like eat fruits and vegetables, stuff that spoils quickly. Eat through that first, and then like slowly bring in the canned foods to eat while you're hunting or gathering or farming, if you happen to have enough land for it. But yeah, definitely keep the canned foods for later because they'll last longer. Let's see. If you happen to live somewhere where there's like a lot of rivers, like actual rivers, not just creeks or anything, or just near the ocean, a boat might be enough to keep you safe for extended periods of time. What you could do is like just stay within sight of the shore, and then bring in your boat periodically to gather supplies and food, and then hopefully you'll have like a desalinizer so that you can just take the seawater and convert it into drinking water. But even if you're on a boat, don't what do you call it? Don't rest easy, because you never know who could show up in the middle of the night, just like while you're sleeping, and then climb on your boat. It could be a person, zombie, or you could hit a whale. Whales don't like that. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Man, I just had a thought and I don't remember what it was. See, this is why you need to spend time thinking clearly, because it'll give you a clear destination and you will know how to get there. In my defense, though, I forget my birthday. So, it's not entirely my fault, it's just poor genetics, I guess. I like that I pointed to my head for genetics. I don't know. How do I look without glasses? Do I look different? Do I look the same? Do I look stupid? Who was it? Rick Perry? He's the one that thought he could look smarter with glasses, apparently. I think it was him. Anywho, back to zombies. I mentioned this in the last video, but you want to avoid, physical contact with, or not contact, well, obviously contact, but confrontation with zombies as much as you can. My sister suggested, and this is really morbid, but if you have any pets, use them as bait. And then, when the zombies are going after them, you make your escape going the other way. Another thing you could do is essentially the same thing, but if you set up a loud noise to go off in another area while you're perched, say on top of a roof or in a tree, so that when zombies start coming in, you can just pick them off one at a time. One good way, I actually mentioned this in the first run through of my video, this wouldn't work too well in, say, the suburbs, and especially not in the city, because there are so many buildings to get in the way and kind of cut your line of sight. But if you have like a farmhouse type of a area, have somebody, in a good-sized pickup truck, at least one person, maybe two, on the roof of the house, not only for support, but also They could help fire if they're good shots, but if they're not, then it might be best to keep the less than stellar shooters as your eyes and ears. You know, just give them walkie, have them up there, and then they can direct the ground forces. And you can have the people in the pickup, they're able to, you know, move around, and they can start picking off the zombies one at a time. That way the crowds never get too big at the pickup. And then if for whatever reason they can't have somebody at the ready in the home that can run out and start like clearing somewhat of a path for the ones in the pickup to get back to the home and back to safety. And you just repeat this tactic until all of the zombies are taken care of. Another thing you need to do is burn any and all bodies that are on the property, or I guess the area. It wouldn't really be your property if you kind of appropriate it. But this not only will protect you from, what do you call it, diseases, but also the smell, for one, and who knows what kind of animals you would attract with a bunch of dead bodies all over the place. Let's see. I kind of mentioned this before with the bicycle and needing cardio. So if you're like me and you need to work on your cardio, especially like if you get this tightness in your chest just by jogging for a little bit, a good way to, you know, increase it is to run for as long as you can. It doesn't matter if it's 10 seconds or 10 minutes. Somehow, if you're like that, though, you're a lot better off than most people. But just run for as long as you can. Then walk for the same amount of time that you were able to run. And then you start running again. And it doesn't matter if you can't run as long or half as long. Just run for as long as you can and then walk the same amount of time. And then just go back and forth like that, walking for the same amount of time that you're able to run. And if you just do this like every other day and then you make it every day, eventually you get to the point where you could run all day if you wanted. That's not recommended though. You want to conserve as much liquid in you as possible, hence the canned foods. And I know that some of you might think that, okay, well, I'll just have canned foods when I'm on the road, since they have water and I'll be losing water, and we'll eat, you know, whatever's around when you're hunkered down, as my mom says. That kind of is counterintuitive. I think that's the proper word here, because you'd be spending a lot more water carrying that extra weight than you would be getting back from the canned food itself. Canned foods really only should be used when you have a defensible location that you can return to. Another thing is, my friend Michael, he feels like because he's stronger and faster than the rest of the guys in our group, that is to say the guys at the Walmart, we don't really have a zombie survival group just yet, but we're working on it. He thinks because he's the fastest, though, that he should set the pace. Like, everyone has to keep up with him. This is not a good idea. You want to go at the pace of the slowest person, not because you want to be nice to them, but because it just makes the most economical sense from a certain point of view. I guess that's a good way to use that word. I don't know. I'm just kind of making this up as I go along for the most part. And the reason is mostly because of caution. The slowest person's going to give you more time, you know, if you move at their pace, to plan your next move and also just to scout the area. So let's say, for instance, it's my friend Michael, it's me, and Rob, and whoever else I have named in the series. Michael would be good because he's got enough endurance and speed that he'd be able to scout the area ahead and then come back. That would give the slower people a chance to rest and also to set up camp, so by the time he gets back and he can tell us what all is going on, that we know where to go next. And a lot of people forget, uh, nighttime is a thing, and the best thing to do is kind of take after our simian ancestors. If you can, um, get as high up as you possibly can and say like a tree, or if you can't climb a tree, if there's a building, try and get to the roof of it, or maybe the attic if it has one. That way, if something were to find you in the night, they can't get to you. Let's see. Is there anything else I should discuss in this episode? Most of this is about just like locations that you can have, preparedness, mainly like water, food, the exercise that you should take, should take, the exercise you should take into account, I guess is what I was going to say. And also keep in mind, like, it's a group effort, and if one person is setting the stage, I guess, for everybody else, they're not a good leader. A good leader takes into account everybody's strengths and weaknesses before they do anything. So be sure to keep that in mind on the off chance that you're in a zombie apocalypse and you need to be the leader because someone else isn't as qualified just because they think they are. Well, until next time, I'll try and be a little more coherent in the next video. This is still new to me. Goodbye, everybody.